Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Most Accurate Podcast. I am your host, Jennifer Akins, joined as always by Justin Edwards. Sorry we're a couple minutes late. I have had a morning, and I just spilled water on myself as I'm drinking during the intro.
Doesn't stop.
It's been a morning, man. It snowed like 2 inches here last night, so apparently it was a 2-hour delay for school. Which puts my son at school at 10:15, which is in 10 minutes from now. So I had to drop him off early, which, God forbid, all of that. So anyway, we are here. It is week 15. Hopefully, if you guys are joining us, you are in the playoffs.
Right. Congratulations. Or you just like listening to us that much.
Unless you just love to see Justin and I's smiling faces. Before we start, Justin, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I missed the SFB cut line by maybe a catch or two, but you didn't. So someone here is in the quarterfinals now?
Yeah.
It's got to be the semifinals. It's quarterfinals?
It's the quarterfinals, yeah. I don't think I've ever made it this far. I've made it to the playoffs for sure.
I may have made it this far once, but...
Yeah, I'm not sure that, and the crazy thing is like I actually had like injuries and stuff. Like it's not like I've had a perfect... I was the idiot that dropped Russell Wilson like week 5 because I needed a body, and I'm like, he's never going to start.
Right.
Thankfully I have Jaden Daniels and I had Winston and whatever, but it would be really nice to have that third quarterback in Russell Wilson at this point. But that's okay. Either way, I am still alive to fight another day. Right. I get Jaden Daniels back this week, which is nice. I also get Marvin Mims back, which I know sounds ridiculous, but in a league where you get return yards, he's been pretty.
Right, exactly.
He's been pretty spectacular for me as well. So, anyway, there's that. As far as regular leagues, most of them should be starting playoffs this week, unless you're in a strange league that doesn't, which it can happen.
The underdog drafts roll over today too. So
oh wow,
I just checked because I had to, and I have like I have a Burrow, Chase, Higgins, Barkley, Bowers team. So I'm like, let's go.
That's beautiful. I have not looked at I haven't looked at underdog in a couple weeks. I guess I need to do that. I'm a little scared because it was touch and go at certain points of the season that I decided to stop looking. But I'm gonna have to go do that. I did come in first in my main home league.
Yes.
I would be going for a repeat and 4 overall, which would be really nice. It's never been done. There's been 2 of us that have won 3 times. No one's ever won it 4 times. So I'm going for that, which is exciting. Yeah. But you guys aren't here to hear about our fantasy. We're gonna talk because we can
talk about your teams.
Let's talk about your teams. For those of you that are new, which could happen in week 15. This is the streaming show. We go over the 4 streamable positions: quarterback, tight end, kicker, and defense. We also take some questions. We don't do start-sit questions anymore because it is Tuesday morning. And so, it's just too early to really decide who we're starting. But we will certainly handle any other kind of waiver. I guess if you're still trading, dropping.
I guess if you're in a dynasty league, those trades don't usually kick off until like January. So
that is true. All right, let's get to let's do a little quick recap of last week, as we do every week. We'll go quickly because no people don't really care, but some do. So last week I'll start off in the quarterback department. My top streamer was Russell Wilson. He was quarterback 12, 16 points. Can't hate that, right? A QB1. And then my second play was Jameis Winston right behind him at QB 13 with 15.3 points. So not bad for the first 2. The last 3 were gross anyway. If you can recall, I wasn't loving them. Will Levis was QB 24. And then we had Derek Carr and Aiden O'Connell, who both got hurt. Quarterback 22 and quarterback 25. See, weirdly enough, they both got hurt and they still weren't at the bottom of the barrel.
O'Connell only played like the first half. Didn't he get injured like right in the third quarter?
He got injured early, and I had him on my said Scott Fishbowl team that I started.
Yeah, I did too. I started him too.
Yeah, he got us like 11 points, which is not awful considering he went down.
A little push action.
Yeah. And then Derek Carr, same thing. He got hurt as well, and he was the quarterback 22. So that was kind of the quarterbacks. Not awful. We had one QB1, one borderline QB1, and then a couple duds. How were tight ends for you?
Tight ends are pretty meh, but overall on the week they were kind of meh. I think we had 8 tight ends hit double-digit points this last week, and 6 of them were 80%, 90% owned guys. But we had Noah Gray. We rolled him back out there. He was only the tight end 21. Not great there. Jazeki, I wasn't super high on him, but we did include him. He was the tight end 24. I think he only caught 2 passes. Juwan Johnson was the tight end 3, the overall tight end 3 on the week. So that's very nice. We'll be talking about him later. Chika Conquo for very deep leagues. He was the tight end 27. And then we did talk about Tommy Tremble, but Jatavian Sanders ended up being cleared ahead of that game. And then Tommy Tremble fell into the end zone anyway. So he was the tight end 15. But I'm assuming no one streamed him after Sanders was cleared, I think, on Friday afternoon. So not a great week in tight ends. We will do better.
As always. All right. As far as kickers go, also not a fantastic week. Matthew Wright was kicker 2, so he was kind of the star there. He had 15 fantasy points.
Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, and then we had Brandon McManus tied for kicker 11 with 7. And then in the show, we talked about Parker Romo, who after the show aired, obviously, Will Reichert came back. So they're interchangeable, right? I mean, it's Viking kicker. That's what the process is, not the person. It's the team. Will Reichert ended up at kicker 14 with 6 points. And then we had Chase McLaughlin and Chad Ryland were both kicker 18. So nothing fantastic there. Wright was the star at kicker 2, but the rest of it was kind of meh. And then let's go defenses real quick. What do you got?
Yeah, defenses were great. Saints were tied for the defense 2 on the week with 10 points. The Bengals last night were the defense 8 with 8 points. The Jaguars were the defense 9 with 9 points. And then as a little bonus, I touched on the Bucks, but they were 53% rostered. I said, go check them out, see if they're available in your league. And they were actually tied for the defense 2 as well with 10 points, even though that doesn't really count. So the 3 that do count, Saints were the defense 2, the Bengals were the defense 8, and the Jags were the defense 5. So very good defense week.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, defense streaming is I think pretty good and pretty important this time of year. So nice. It's nice to have a good week. Before we get to our weird sport of the week, we've got a comment from Michael. We always love good comments, so we'll put that one
What's
up there.
Michael? Sorry, I just clicked out of it.
We both clicked it at the same time. Yeah, we love it. Good afternoon, Jen and Justin. Playoffs are here. Looking forward to your skill position, defense, and even kicker top waiver picks. Thankful for you guys every week. We are thankful for you, Michael. So before we get into the streamers, we always do our segment, the weird sport of the week. This week it is kabaddi. So kabaddi, it's an interesting. So it's listed from what I've read, right? It's a combination of Red Rover, tag, and wrestling. So basically, your teams take turns sending one person across the court. That player scores 1 point for each member of the other team he tags, as long as he comes back safely to the other side of the court. If the defending team tackles the guy before he crosses back to the other side, the defense gets the point. Now that's weird enough, right? Whatever. It is what it is. But this is the where it makes it weird. So this is the way they keep time on per round. The raider, right, the guy that goes across, he has to continually chant the word kabaddi without taking a breath through his entire turn. If the referee sees him inhale, his turn is over.
What?
Yeah. So not only do you have to go across with these dudes and try to tag them before they
with no breath,
but you have to continually chant the word kabaddi and not breathe all on your turn.
This is one of the weirder ones you found.
Yeah, so this sport
There's been some weird ones, but
yeah, it's popular in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Iran. And it's pretty big. There's several professional kabaddi leagues in Asia, and it's been a regular at the Asian Games since 1990.
This sounds like something my friends and I would do when we were 9 until someone broke a bone, and then we would pretend like we weren't doing it,
Yeah, I mean, Red Rover was pretty it was pretty intense, especially if you've got 2 strong people locked and then you've got a little person running towards them full speed, they can get flipped over. And we had some pretty intense Red Rover games back in the day.
You really get a clothesline in,
Yeah, but this one is there's tackling involved and tackle, and then you also have to chant the word kabaddi continuously without taking a breath, or your turn is over. So anyway, that's kabaddi. I don't know if you have any other words there for that or anything else.
No, I don't. It's very, very weird.
Yeah. It's odd, but
and very popular. It looks like.
clearly, yeah, clearly. All right, let's do some actual questions, I guess, before we get into streaming, if there
All
are
right.
any. Do we see any? Yeah, Sam
Sam.
Burke. Okay, Sam.
Here-
Okay. Hi, Sam. Rest of the season, which two defenses do you think will be best? Steelers, Eagles, Lions, Packers. Well, I mean, the Steelers are like one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
So without even looking at schedules, but let's do that here.
Yeah, I got the little strength of schedule here. The Eagles have Baltimore this week, so it's already a no. And then, well, they do have Carolina next week, and then they have
the thing
Steelers.
is,
Or is that right?
are you talking about Pittsburgh or Philly? You're
No,
talking about Pittsburgh, yeah?
No, I was talking about Philly, and I was wrong. They just played.
They play each other, so that's where you kind of.
Oh, okay.
They play each other
yeah.
this week. Pittsburgh's schedule actually is very brutal. So let me back up my stance of saying they're the best defense in the league. So just play them. They do have a difficult. They go Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs. So that's not great.
Yeah, maybe not.
Who else are you looking at? Eagles, Lions, Packers.
And then the Lions have Buffalo this week.
Buffalo, Bears, San Francisco. So not fantastic either.
Oh, Green Bay has Seattle, Jake Herner.
Oh gosh.
And then the Vikings. Wow, they all have difficult schedules, don't they? Good question, Sam.
Yeah.
I mean,
would
probably the Eagles.
Green Bay looks nice though. Seattle, New Orleans, Minnesota, like they're all green, at least according to the hotspot chart.
Yeah. I mean, the Vikings could hang some points on them. The Saints won't.
No, and Seattle's hit or miss. The Eagles aren't bad actually.
I think it's the Eagles or the Packers. I think I would lean with the Eagles here. Just they get the Cowboys in week 17. Cooper Rush completed like 50% of his passes last night against a terrible Bengals defense. That's a nice little championship matchup.
Yeah, and I mean, let me look real quick at their actual defenses. I mean, the Packers right now, so the Packers are 8th in fantasy points over the last 4 weeks, and the Eagles are 12th. So the Packers are putting more points on the board as a defense. So take that into consideration as well.
Yeah, there you go.
But I think, like Justin said, I think it's one of those two, and I think you might. I mean, if you're gonna pick those two and then play the matchups, then that's. I'm assuming if you're asking for two, that's what you're doing. So.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see that part. Yeah, grab the. That's exactly. Yeah, do exactly that.
We like Eagles, Packers. Okay.
Yeah.
Sam will go one more here on Ladd McConkey.
Have you heard anything? I don't think I have.
No, I haven't. And I mean, he's got. It's hard on Tuesday mornings because, and I say this every week, but
they don't have the practice reports yet. The only practice reports we would even have today are Thursday Night Football.
Let's see. I mean, he's got, it's a knee. He's got a shoulder.
I mean, he was a late scratch last week, though, right?
He was. He was almost. Yeah, he was game time. They did not.
So you would think he's fine by this.
Yeah, with a week off, hopefully, and he's got a really good matchup against Tampa Bay. So let's hope he comes back.
Dang, yeah.
I'm down with that. Okay, let's get into quarterbacks.
Let's do it.
Not a great week for quarterbacks, to be honest. I mean, it's okay. It's just we're down to kind of the wire here, and it's tough to really want to stream any of these guys with your champion, with your one and done situation in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I got a few for you. I've got 5 actually for us. So my first one we have is Jameis. He is at home against Kansas City. He is 34% rostered. The Browns are out of the playoffs, which kind of stinks when it comes to, but Jameis is Jameis. Like, he's still going to do his thing. Kansas City is 23rd in quarterback adjusted fantasy points allowed. They're allowing 18.3. So it's a decent matchup for Jameis. He's got the weapons at the moment. They're kind of firing. I don't want to say all cylinders, but they're firing on most of them. They're doing pretty well. So Jameis is the first guy. Second guy I have is someone I really didn't want to have, but I have to, and that's Aaron Rodgers. Like, I don't want to talk about Aaron Rodgers. I don't want to recommend Aaron Rodgers. But at the end of the day, like, he's on the road in Jacksonville. He's 34% rostered. He's coming off a 339-yard and 1 touchdown performance against the Dolphins. Like, he's a good play. in Jacksonville. They're 28th in quarterback adjusted fantasy points allowed. So it's one of those hold your nose when you add and click, because rooting, at least for me, rooting for Aaron Rodgers is not fun and not something I want to be doing. But if you want to win your fantasy championship and you
Right.
don't have any other options, he is a good one this week.
Priorities.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. We know in fantasy you can't play with your heart or your mind. You have to just play with, well, you can play with your mind, but not your moral mind. That's what I mean. I don't know.
Yeah. You
It's
just
not
you
even,
just click whoever scores the
yes.
points.
I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers is not moral. That's not what I meant. I mean, thankfully,
No, I've got you.
you know what I mean? There are
Yeah.
guys that we have moral issues with. He's not one of them. He's just a weirdo.
He's just a
Sorry.
dork. Let's be
He's just
honest.
yeah, exactly. All right, the third guy is another pretty gross option on paper, or not on paper in the mind, but Drew Lock at home against Baltimore. He's 3% rostered. Listen, we laugh, but since Drew Lock became the starter, he's the quarterback 16 in fantasy
Dang,
points.
I
Like,
didn't know that.
yeah, I mean, and Baltimore's 24th against the quarterback. And the other option there, or the other thing to consider there, is that they're going to most likely be playing from behind in Baltimore. So,
Right.
or against Baltimore, I should say. So he's going to have to throw the ball. So Drew Lock is the third option there. Options 4 and 5 are playing against each other. We've got the Bryce Young Cooper Rush matchup.
Oh man,
I know, but
I'll be tuned in.
I know we'll all be tuned in. But the thing is, they're both defenses are really soft against the quarterback.
Yeah,
And I mean, Bryce Young has been playing okay. He's definitely playing the best we've seen him.
absolutely.
He's only 6% rostered, and Dallas is 29th against the quarterback. And then on the other side of the field, there we've got Cooper Rush. He's 8% rostered, and Carolina is 26th against the quarterback. So both of those guys are viable. They're both, under 10% rostered. So if you're in a deep 14, 16 team league, you're trying to stream, they're both there. They'll be all right. I think they'll be serviceable. So for the quick wrap up, we got Jameis, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Lock, Bryce Young, and Cooper Rush. Week 15 streamers.
Yeah, here we are.
Here we are. All right, let's take a question here. All right, we got it. We got one from Michael. In my Yahoo half PPR in the playoffs, congratulations to you, Michael. Justin and I would like to think we had something to do with that.
Right.
Because you're here every week. But we know it's all you, Michael. All right. Should I drop Singletary or Patrick Taylor for Guerrero? I have Tracy as well. Hard to choose which handcuff to keep.
I think absolutely I would drop Singletary for just about anything right now.
Yeah, Singletary's not doing anything, and we don't
only
know.
had 2 carries last week.
Yeah, and we don't, and like I just said, they're going to be probably behind in Baltimore, and they're not going to run as much at all. So, and if they do, it'll be Tracy. We don't know. Guerrero right now has been playing down the foot injury like it's nothing.
They play Thursday, don't they?
They do.
That stinks.
So I think having both of those guys is probably a good thing. So
yeah, I agree.
I would drop Singletary, add Guerrero, keep Taylor.
Yep, me too.
That felt like a Mary kill.
Yeah.
Mary kill.
FMK.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like I don't know, sext. I don't know.
Yes.
The word was not coming to me. All right. All right. Joanne. Love it. A woman in the house. We don't
What's
get a
up,
lot
Joanne?
of women on this show. Hi, Joanne. Should I drop Dallas and Arizona? Pick up Washington, the Chargers, or the Colts? My remaining options. I like Washington. They've been, well, let me see. I shouldn't just say that without looking.
Oh, yeah. They have the Saints this week.
Saints, Eagles, and Falcons. So they have a pretty good schedule.
Yeah.
The Chargers have been playing okay defensively. They have a nice schedule too. They have the Bucks, Denver, and the Patriots.
Patriots week 17 is a nice matchup.
That is a good matchup. And
ooh, yeah, these are all good options.
And then let's see, Dallas and Arizona. I mean, Dallas just Arizona. I believe got negative fantasy points this week. I'm sure you're aware of that, Joanne. I actually have them. I had them on my bench, thankfully. But in my league, of course, depending on your scoring, but I think the Arizona got negative 2.5 on my bench, thankfully, not in my roster. So
the Colts are in Denver this week, which isn't a great matchup, but then they get Tennessee and the Giants, which are two of the most giving offenses. So if you can play the Colts in week 16 and 17 and stream someone this week, that would be sweet. But I don't want to load your bench up with defenses if you don't have space.
Yeah, but Washington against the non-Derek Carr Saints is pretty nice this
Yeah,
week.
you're right.
So I like that. I would do if you're I think Arizona is droppable. I know that they do have a favorable schedule. But like I said, they got negative points against Seattle. So that's not gonna
Great.
And they have the Rams week 17, which I wouldn't really mess with right now.
Right.
So yeah, if you're looking at so if you're thinking of dropping both and picking up two, we say what, Washington and the Colts?
Yeah. If you play Washington this week and then ride it out with the Colts, if you can.
All right, I like it. All right, Justin, why don't we get to some tight end streamers?
Let's do it. Tight end streamers of the week. We'll start off here with Hunter Henry, who I was kind of surprised was an option, to be honest. But coming off of that bye week, a lot of people ended up dropping him. So Hunter Henry is the number one with a bullet here. He kind of garbage timed his way to a 775 stat line in week 13. But as always, we don't care when it happens, just that it happens. It was the fourth time in 5 games that he had at least 8 targets. I mean, it's really quite surprising that he's only 40% rostered. People must have really desperately needed a spot last week. So Hunter Henry is number one. He goes up against the Cardinals, who we just discussed scored negative points as a fantasy defense. Juwan Johnson, who is 10% rostered, went out there and has had a 12 for 116 and 2 stat line over the last 3 weeks. He either had 40 or 50 yards last week in the first full. It was 50 yards in the first full non-Taysom Hill game. Derek Carr is possibly sidelined, which makes Hunter Henry the number one target and Juwan Johnson a pretty distant number 2. But they got to throw the ball to someone, and they don't have any wide receivers or tight ends. And I don't think he's going to get hopscotched by Foster Moreau anytime soon. And then deep picks. If you can't find either of those two guys, we can go back to the well here with Noah Gray. Obviously, he had those kind of fluky 4 touchdowns in the weeks 11 and 12, and then he obviously hasn't found the end zone since then. But he does get a Browns defense that ranks 25th in tight end schedule adjusted fantasy points allowed. And they also have kind of a earth of wide receivers there as well. Noah Gray is kind of operating as the wide receiver 3 behind Xavier Worthy and DeAndre Hopkins. And then obviously Travis Kelce is the tight end 1 there. Even deeper, I'll piggyback off of that Jaguars Aaron Rodgers matchup and go with Tyler Conklin, who we really haven't talked about this year because he kind of fell completely off the radar. But the Jaguars do rank 31st in schedule adjusted fantasy points allowed to tight ends. Conklin is still available in 89% of leagues. So this is a deep pull. And then even deeper, going to go back to Chig Okonkwo. We're still kind of chasing the points from his 70-yard touchdown catch in week 12. Last week was disgusting for the Jaguars. I mean, yeah, the Jags and the Titans offense in general. But they get another good matchup here against a Cincinnati Bengals defense that is kind of being roasted on live TV about why they cannot tackle anyone. And Okonkwo at 6'3", 238 pounds is someone who's pretty difficult to tackle. So if he gets a couple of underneath targets here, he could really take one quite deep. He is available in 95% of Yahoo leagues. So to run it back, Hunter Henry is my easy number 1 pick here at 40%. Juwan Johnson is kind of a distant second. If Derek Carr does somehow play this week, he would be a much closer second. And then deeper, if you really need to go deeper here, Noah Gray at 21% rostered, Tyler Conklin at 11% rostered, and Chig Okonkwo versus the Bengals at 5% rostered.
I just want to point something out that made me chuckle, and then I didn't hear anything else you said afterwards. You said hopscotched. I'm guessing you meant leapfrogged. Hopscotch, you're not hopping over anyone. You're just going in the squares. So
well, he could be one of the squares, and then he jumps. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened there, actually.
I
That
get
wasn't even
it.
in my notes. I don't know if I've ever said
It just, yeah,
hopscotch out
it
loud.
just made me laugh, and then I didn't hear anything else you said. But I assume you said some valuable information
It's
about
very
tight ends.
valuable.
Very valuable. All right, let's Taylor. We don't normally do start sits, but I kind of liked this question, and it is with tight ends. So we are going to answer your start sit today, because both of them are playing really well. Njoku or Johnny Smith. Both of their matchups are kind of in the middle of the road, right? You've got Njoku against KC, and Jonnu Smith is against Houston. I believe they're like right. Yeah, I mean Kansas City's 17th and Houston is 16th. They're right
Yeah,
next to
right
each
in the
other.
middle.
I would personally follow the targets. Njoku has like I think 30 targets in the last 2 games.
Man.
He had 17 and then 13. And Johnny Smith has been coming on well, but he only had 4 targets last week. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a tough one. I mean, it's a good problem to have, right? I mean, you have 2, especially in the tight end position, because 2 of them, you have 2 good ones. So I lean Njoku. Justin, do you feel the same or do you have a different take?
I can't imagine benching Njoku right now. I mean, unless, a freak injury, we obviously don't predict those. But if you're getting 15 targets a week, especially at tight end, like you can't
Yeah. I mean,
bench
that's
that.
absolutely insane. All right. Michael has a defense question. Do you want to wait for defense or you want to just answer it?
Hold on. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's
I'll actually touch on both of them. So yeah,
okay.
let's wait.
So Michael, let's wait a sec. All right. I assume this is a start sit, which I said we don't do, but here we are. Hurts, Bo Nix, or Aaron Rodgers. It's always Hurts. I
It's
don't
always
even
hurts.
know. Yeah, we're not even. Yeah, that's not even. I mean, I get it, but we don't want to get too cute in the playoffs. You
Right.
got to start Hurts. All right, let's get to prize picks. We know there are a ton of options out there for real money sports action, but we have found one that really stands out from the rest, prize picks. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, prize picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to everyone. Prize picks is so easy to play, and now you can win up to 100 times your money on prize picks with as few as just 4 correct picks. One thing I really like about Prize Picks is that they're the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy. So your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. So, all of you out there that had Aiden O'Connell in your Prize Picks last week were able to be bailed out.
Yeah.
If you sign up today, you will get $50 instantly when you play $5, and that 50 bonus is guaranteed whether you win or not. Okay, so this week, by the way, I think we haven't been keeping an official tally, but I think like most of mine have hit.
Yeah, I think you've hit like each of the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, well, last week I picked David Montgomery to score a touchdown. I mean, so
Hey, it still counts.
it was a softball, but it counted. This week is not as softball-y, but this week I am taking Josh Allen to have more than 37.5 rushing yards against Detroit. The Lions are allowing the 7th most ground yards per week to enemy quarterbacks this season. Allen has averaged 51.25 rushing yards in his last 4 games. So he only needs to get more than 39.5 here. I like it. I think that he's ridiculous right now. So
Yeah, he's
download
playing
the
out of
app.
his mind.
Yeah, I mean, he is. So download the app today. Use code TMAP, TMAP, to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, just download the Prize Picks app and use the promo code TMAP to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Okay. Let's see. Do we have questions? D-Rod, I don't think that's a question. I think it's just Jets D is good for this week.
I've got Daniel here.
Okay. Hello, Daniel. This is my
Hey, Daniel.
first fantasy league, and I made the playoffs.
Let's go,
Nice
Daniel.
job, Daniel. That's impressive. We changed his season. Well, that's good. Picked up
Heck
Darnold
yeah.
from the waiver wire. I have Lamar. Should I keep? Do you mean should you keep Darnold or should you keep Lamar? Because you should definitely keep Lamar.
Yeah.
So if you're in the playoffs, I would. This is the time where you should have a second quarterback. So I would hang on to Darnold. He's playing really well as well.
Yeah.
He saved a lot of people last week. I don't know his actual. Let me see.
Even if you were to play Darnold over Lamar on a given week, you don't want Lamar to be on the waiver wire for one of your opponents to pick up.
Right. Or either one, really.
So even if you're really feeling like I really want to play Darnold this week, which I don't think I would, but if you felt like that, then that's fine. Yeah, don't let someone else have Lamar, because if he goes off for 50 points, you're not going to feel very good.
Yeah, I mean, Lamar, the only question mark really is he does have the Steelers week 16. Darnold has Seattle, which is a better matchup, so you could possibly do a little swapsy then. But I would hang on to both of them. I don't think you don't want your opponents to have either one of those guys. So
yeah, I agree.
I would just stay tight with both. And if you want to play that matchup in week 16, do. If not, just ride Lamar all the way through.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. Let's see. More start sits. More start sits. I don't even know who they're playing. Houston.
Damn. I need to make...
Oh, go ahead. I'm
sorry. Apologies for that. Oh, one ad left for the year. Oh, wow. Man, ad parameters are mean. That's like having a trade void or whatever.
Yeah, veto. Okay,
so one of the Steelers or the Lions. I mean, probably not. I don't want to use my last ad on a defense. Because, like, what if a running back comes free?
Yeah, what if somebody gets hurt and you get like a...
I don't think I would use... If you really only have one last ad, I don't think I'm using it on a defense.
No, I wouldn't.
Just because, like, the high end... Without a defense scoring a touchdown, the high end DST scoring on a week is like 8. And
you have the Steelers.
Starting running back could crush 8 points.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers are a good defense. Like I even against a tougher matchup, you still would want them over. You could
still get some sacks. They could score 28 points, and you could have 5 sacks, which is still perfectly fine in fantasy terms.
Yeah, I mean, they still have TJ Watt on their team, right?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I would not waste that, just because you don't know what's going to happen. People unfortunately get hurt every week.
Yeah. We could be rushing to pick up the 7th 49ers running back of the year. We
could be. I see there's a lot of Aaron Rodgers chatter over what I said. The chaotic mind, not the lawful mind. Yes, I'm with you there, Kevin. I'm sorry. That's what I kind of meant. Okay. Let's see here.
Hopscotch.
Yeah, Kevin, that's like pretty much what I said. They have a consistent floor of the Steelers, so I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, these are all start sit questions.
That's all right. You want to hit kickers? There's a lot of defense questions too, which we'll be hitting the defense streamers.
Oh yeah, I guess we have to keep doing streamers. All right. Yes, kickers this week. It's a pretty decent week for kickers, I will say. It's a weird list, right? A list that actually 5 out of the 6 kickers I have listed were not the starters at the start of the season. So that's where we are in the kicker world. There's all these injuries and craziness. All right, so my first streamer, really it's 1A, 1B in as far as streamers go for me this week. We have Chad Ryland at the top against New England at home. Matt Prater has not returned to practice yet. He's not like he should be back. Like he's not done for the season, but he has yet to return to practice. So for now, we're going to assume it's Chad Ryland at home against New England. He's only 7% rostered. The Cardinals are projected to score 26 points this week, and they are favored by 6 at home in the desert. So I like Chad Ryland this week as a starter. I know that I touted him last week and he got 4 points, but I think this week, like I said, they just had a rough go against Seattle and it just didn't work out. But I think this week against the Patriots, they're looking a lot better. The second guy I have, like I said, he's kind of a 1B because I feel like they're both really up there, is Cade York against Tennessee. Once again, Evan McPherson is now on IR with a groin injury. So Cade York is the kicker for the Bengals. He's only 6% rostered. He was the kicker 7 last night, I should say. He was the kicker 7. That was last night, right?
It was. It was a good game for me and my betting purposes.
It was a great game for me having Jamar Chase on two different teams that I really needed him in. Sidebar, I'm in this guillotine league, and we're down to 14. I was out. I mean, I didn't even look at it because I was so far out, and the guy that was above me had Burrow and Higgins, and I was like, "There's no way." Didn't even look. The end of the night, I went to close my laptop and just like clicked on it, and I was like, "Oh, I survived by less than a point." Jamar Chase is my hero.
I did a Jamar Chase receiving ladder last night, and
Nice,
it went really well.
nice.
Free lunch.
Drinks are on you. All right,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
back to Cade York at Tennessee. He's 6% rostered. Yeah, I mean they're also projected to score 26 points, and they're road favorites by 4.5. So the only reason I put Chad Ryland up a little bit above is that he's at home. That's home kickers tend to fare better, but both those guys are fine. Third guy, another name that we did not expect at the start of the season, and that's Zane Gonzalez on the road in New Orleans. Austin Seibert's out, so we're still looking at Zane Gonzalez. Washington is back this week, so they're all fresh. They are 7.5-point favorites on the road in New Orleans, and they have a 25.25 team total. So I like him as well. Fourth guy, Will Reichert. He is at home against Chicago. He came back last week, so as I said in my streaming article this morning, pour one out for Parker Romo. We liked him while he was there, but he's now gone. Will Reichert is back. He's only 8% rostered because he did just get back this week. I assume that'll jump up, and he may be outside of streaming for next week. But the Vikings are a touchdown favorite at home against the Bears, and they have a 25.25 team total there. My fifth option is Will Lutz at home against the Colts. He is 11% rostered. They are 4-point favorites, and they are 24. They're projected to score 24 points against Indy. So I've got those. I also have a sixth bonus. I know it's ridiculous, but I did want to point out Harrison Butker may be back this week. He may not. So if he's back, he's obviously not. Which I found surprising that people held on to him this entire time, but
right. I didn't know he was back so soon. Even
yeah, he's a possibility, and he's like 60% rostered or something, which is.
Do you think he's still going to do that stupid knee drop thing that tore it in the first place?
I don't know.
What is he doing?
I don't know.
He's like tear his ACL.
Yeah, I don't know, but according to my research this morning, he may be back. So if he is, this is not in play. But if he's out, then Matthew Wright is also in play against Cleveland. They're favored by 4 with a 24.75 team total. So tying a bow on the kicker, we've got Chad Ryland, Cade York, Zane Gonzalez, Will Reichert, Will Lutz, and Matthew Wright if no Harrison Butker. So there's plenty of options for you guys there. And every single one of them is under 11% rostered. So actually not right. I'm not sure exactly. I didn't write his down, unfortunately, but all the rest of them are under 11% rostered. So no matter the size of your league, somebody should be there for you.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, plenty of kickers. And I saw, it's funny, I was clicking around on my leagues. That's how I check out, their rostership. And I noticed that like Jake Bates is available in one of my leagues. I was like, what
is happening? We've been talking about him for 3 months.
We've been talking about him for 3 months. I think I have, I have Fairbairn. So I've been riding with him, but I mean, I don't know. People are, yeah. Anyway, let's move on to some questions that are. Michael's got another one here that's not a start sit. If you were starting Tracy and Neighbors, would you stream the Colts D this week? Or I'm sorry, would you stream the Colts D week 17? Oh, because they're playing against them is what you're asking.
Yeah, I don't think that's an issue at all.
Yeah, I don't really.
Most of your points are coming from the quarterback sacks and interceptions. So
yeah,
you're not really betting on Tyrone Tracy to fumble the ball if you're playing the other defense or anything like that.
Yeah, I think it's more. I know in DFS you kind of think about that more than, but in here I wouldn't. I mean, if that's your defense and that's who you were going to play, go for it. But
yeah, I don't think it would. I mean, there are situations I'd play the defense and the quarterback and just not even care. Like, Jameis Winston playing anybody. I'd be totally fine with playing the defense opposite him and him in the same lineup.
I see more start sits here. Let's keep scrolling. Yes, D, I know you should keep Darnold. I think that was a follow-up to your other question.
Yeah.
Any stashes for next season? Wow. That's a great.
Is this like a keeper league or a dynasty
I would
assume
it's a keeper or dynasty, right? Because
If you're
Gosh,
talking about like sleepers for 2025, Paul, I swear
I think
it's
he
it's
is.
too early. It's too early for all that.
I think he is, and our brains are not there yet. But I mean, listen, you can look at some of the guys that are coming on,
Look
later
at just
this.
like any young running back, especially if you're
Yeah,
talking about dynasty, like Isaiah Davis. I mean, McCormick's already rostered everywhere. Sean Tucker,
yeah.
Keaton Mitchell.
Oh God. Sure, Keaton Mitchell again. And then as far as like other, I mean, so I mean, it was great to see Jalen McMillan score 2 touchdowns this
Right.
weekend
Yeah.
after I drafted him in every league this year and then dropped him by week 3.
Right.
But he's a guy, guys like that, these young guys that are wide receiver threes that may get another shot. You got to think about, if you really want to get into it, Paul, look at the free agent list for this year and see kind of guys that
Yep.
might move and then guys that might move up. That's a lot of work that my brain can't do yet. Not
Yeah.
until at least February, but
Get ready for about 3.5 months of is this running back signing in Dallas?
right.
It's going to be all the rest of winter.
All right, looks like we have a dynasty question from the Roll 07, whose avatar is a roll of toilet paper.
You gotta love it.
Yeah, don't hate it. All right, Justin, that's all
All
you.
right. How is this team in a 14-person dynasty superflex 0.25 points per carry and full PPR? Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Sam Darnold, great quarterback group there. Bucky Irving, Tyron Tracy, Garindo, Akers, Hunt. You do need some work there. Bucky looks like he's going to be fine. Tracy also looks like he's going to be fine. Garindo will be in a running back by committee, you would think, next year. Cam Akers and Kareem Hunt are probably both going to be droppable after this season. T. Higgins, Brian Thomas Jr., Roma Dunze, Quentin Johnston, Devontae Adams, Kincaid, and Fant. I think you're quite good, especially in a 14-person dynasty league. You have 3 top 20 quarterbacks, which is really probably screwing some other people in your league, which is always fun to do. You love that. I really like your wide receiver room, and your tight end room just needs like another body. And then, yeah, I mean, I do this every year, but if you can use a lot of your early picks on just running back lottery tickets, that's the best way to kind of add another body to that running back room. But I think this is great. I imagine this team's in the playoffs in a 14-person league. But yeah, I don't keep doing what you're doing. This is very solid. The roll.
The roll. Joanne is back. Let's see here. Oh, Debo.
Man,
Misery. What'd you say?
Misery, just
Misery.
absolute misery.
Yeah, I mean, you have Neighbors, Bowers, Ertz, Tillman, Keon, and MVS. Tempted to pick up Mims and maybe McMillan.
I mean, I have to have Debo over Mims.
Yeah, unless you get return yards, I wouldn't do that. McMillan, I mean, he had a great week, but we don't know. We don't want to really chase points there. The problem with Debo is like
how can you start him at this point?
You don't start him, but I don't know if I would let him go and then have him go off and someone else get him for the playoffs. I mean, I know he's not going to go off. I did see he was tweeting about like nothing wrong with me. I'm just not getting the ball or something.
He's averaging like 3 yards a touch. What do you mean? He's like, it's not me. It's the volume. It's like, no, it's not. It's both actually.
It's both. Yeah. I mean,
he got like 8 carries. They gave him 8 carries. He gained like 13 yards.
He did nothing with it. Let me see. He had 5 carries for 13 yards.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. Yeah.
And he had 2 catches for 22 yards.
Yeah, I can't drop him, but I'm with you, Joanne. I don't know how I'm starting him.
Yeah, you're not.
I don't want anyone else to have him, but
yeah, you're not starting him over any of those guys on your team. I mean, it's a sad day when I'm saying you can start MVS over Devo, but right. But I don't know that you. I mean, it's up to you, Joanne. It's one of those things. Like we all have those guys in those moments where you're like,
look, if you're sick of them, drop them. We're not going to talk we're not going to talk you out of it.
Yeah,
There's
it
no
can be
way.
it can be very mentally freeing to get rid of someone like that. You just have
Right.
to know that he could have a good week in the next 3, and then you'd be bummed out. But I wouldn't necessarily grab either of those two though over him. I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you're not starting,
If
yeah,
you're going to pick up one of those two, I would say McMillan. I think you probably agree.
yeah,
Not that there's anything wrong with Mims. I just think that he could really drop a 0 at any time.
yeah. Unless, like I said, unless you get return yards, then that's a different ball game there. Jelly of the month. Are you? Well, I don't know if you're streaming or.
Dang, jelly of the month. What a great handle. I haven't watched Christmas Vacation yet this season.
Yeah,
This
I mean,
year.
I assume this is start sit, which we say we don't do, but I don't know if right or Lutz. I don't know if that's a start or that's a stream. So I'm gonna say it toes the line. And I would probably do. Well, hold on a second. Let me look at one thing.
I mean, I'm playing the Chiefs against Jameis Winston. Although Baltimore does play the Giants, they're both fantastic options.
Yeah, and I'd probably go right if he plays. If Butker plays, then clearly Lutz. But I think if Wright ends up being the kicker, I'd probably go with him there as well. Okay,
Go.
Michael's got another question here. Stroud, A-Rich, or Young as a second QB stash for playoff? I have Daniels.
I mean, probably Anthony Richardson actually.
Yeah, he's got a pretty neutral. He does have 2 away games, but he plays Denver, Tennessee, and the Giants, which isn't awful. I mean, Young Young has a good game this week, but then he's got Arizona and then Tampa Bay, which Tampa Bay is a good soft defense as well for quarterbacks. But I wouldn't put my playoffs in Bryce Young's hands. He is playing better, but I still wouldn't do that. And then Stroud, I think is fine. He's got Miami, KC, and Baltimore.
I think I'm leading Richardson just for if Daniels goes down, which of these guys can deliver like a league-winning performance in any given week? I feel like that's Richardson. Like if he just runs for 120 yards.
Yeah, I don't hate
in week 17.
I don't hate that. All right, Roll is giving you more Dynasty information. I'm gonna keep scrolling. All right, Ron's got a Dynasty question. I'll throw up there for you.
In my Dynasty league, I need the best running back to trade for the playoffs. Would you guys trade Ken Walker for Chuba Hubbard or Kyron Williams, considering situation of matchups? Superflex, full PPR. So getting rid of Ken Walker, which I'm fine with as long as you're doing it with the intention that like the rest of your team is good enough to win a championship.
It's also a Dynasty league though, so that's
yeah, I know. I mean, I feel like I'd rather have Kyron in this situation, and he has a perfectly fine rest of season schedule. San Francisco, New York, Arizona, they're all like middle of the road run defenses. And then Chuba, man, Jonathan Brooks, what a bummer, man. Jeez.
Big bummer.
His only carry went for -3 yards. And then, but Carolina does have kind of a slightly tougher road. I mean, it's hard to say who has more dynasty value right now because Brooks is, not going to be back until at least this time next year. And then Corum, who has been so far off the radar that I forgot what his name is, should presumably take some more work next year. So maybe Ken Walker for Chuba is kind of low-key awesome. So I would do that, Ron, and then win the championship.
We can't forget Blake Corum because I feel like every week should I drop Blake? Just every week it was we've had a lot of questions about whether we should drop Blake, and we're like, well, you didn't draft him to drop him already, and then now it's like, okay, you can drop him.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything this year. All right, we've got one here under the wire. Dave Reed.
Well, I need to throw up my defense streamers too.
Oh my gosh, I'll
be quick though.
Yeah, please do. I totally forgot. Yes.
Here, let's hit Dave right after this. I'll be so quick.
Okay.
I mean, at this point in the season, defense streamers are so easy.
No, but it's important. I forgot we didn't even do it. I'm so sorry. That's my bad.
No, you're totally fine. I'll run through these. The first is the Bengals at the Titans. They're at 34% rostered. Sorry. Will Levis now has the league's highest pressure to sack rate at 33.9%, one of only 3 players who have eclipsed 30% on the season. Trey Trey Hendrickson has a comfortable league lead in sacks with 12.5. So I think Bengals are probably my number one here. But there are some pretty good matchups, honestly. We also have the Cardinals at the Patriots. Drake May has arguably had his best game heading into the team's Week 14 bye, but he still took 4 sacks. That's the 4th time he's hit at least 4 sacks in 7 full games played. The Cardinals have at least 5 sacks in 3 of their last 5 games played. So even though they did have that stinker of a game last week, this is a good recipe for a DST floor play with the awful Patriots offensive line. Digging deeper, we have the Falcons at the Raiders. The Raiders ranked 29th in schedule adjusted points allowed to defenses this season. This is presumably going to be the Desmond Ridder revenge game. He has 1 touchdown through 3 games of action, and he has taken 7 sacks on 54 dropbacks. His 5.5% turnover-worthy play rate would rank the 2nd highest in the league if he qualified for enough passes. And then digging super deep down, we have the Panthers. They are 1% rostered in the league because in fantasy leagues because they're not that great of a defense. But the Cowboys rank 30th in schedule adjusted fantasy points allowed to opposing defenses. Cooper Rush completed 51.6% of his passes last night, and his 183 yards passing would have looked even worse if the Bengals weren't such a bad tackling defense. So we have those Bengals at 34% against Will Levis and the Titans. We have the Cardinals against Drake May and the Patriots, the Falcons at 10% against Desmond Ridder, presumably, and the Raiders. And then all the way down, we have the Panthers versus the Cowboys. And that's probably how I would rank them in my preferences. Bengals, Cardinals, Falcons, Panthers.
All right. Did we have there was a defense question above, I think or did you answer that? Basically?
I believe someone asked Falcons versus Bengals, and I would prefer the Bengals, but I don't remember who asked it or when it was.
I'm scrolling to see real quick.
Oh, here it is.
There we go.
Atlanta Deer should have picked up the Cincinnati defense. Either one rest of season worthy. I mean, I think the Falcons are just fine, so I wouldn't ask you to like waste a waiver claim on them or anything. But Cincinnati gets Tennessee this week, and then Jameis Winston and the Browns, and then the Broncos, which has not been a very good matchup recently. The Falcons have the Raiders this week, and then the Giants, and then the Commanders, which also isn't a great matchup. So both teams have great matchups these next 2 weeks, and then week 17 is kind of not great. So if you have to like waste a waiver priority on the Bengals defense, I'd probably just keep the Falcons. But if it doesn't cost you anything, I would rather have the Bengals this week.
There you have it for all you defense people. All right, Dave's got a question here. Ooh, that's a great question because they're both good ads this week.
Yeah, they are.
Between Patrick Taylor and Sincere McCormick. I kind of lean McCormick.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, I believe he had 14 touches 2 weeks ago and then 17 touches this week or last week.
He's averaging 3.81 yards after contact per carry, which would rank 6th if extrapolated over the season. I know that because I just typed it out last night.
Yeah, I just typed up those touches for Sincere McCormick this morning in my newsletter, so that's how I know that off the top of my head. But and Patrick Taylor, I think, is a good pickup, but
yeah,
Isaac Orlando is still TBD, and he seems, I mean, everything that seems to point to that he's probably going to play, but they do play Thursday, so maybe he won't if he can't get there. But
I definitely prefer McCormick as well.
Yeah,
if you can pick up both, that's great.
Yeah,
but if you can only do one, I'd go.
Yeah,
I would sincerely go McCormick.
Yeah, I think both. I see what you did there. I think that both are worthy though of pickups for those of you that makes up for your hopscotch, kind of.
All right, I'll do another one.
Kind of, leaving. I have not seen the Mayo commercials.
You haven't?
No, I mean, I remember when they first announced the Mayo perfume. Is that what it's for, or he's doing commercials for?
It's just like Hellman's mayonnaise.
Oh,
so
they
picked like the whitest dude in the league to do it.
Well, no, that's not what it is. He's like upset. Like he has mayo in his coffee. Like he's a mayo guy.
Oh, I love mayonnaise.
Do you put it in your coffee?
That's a touch too far.
Because he does. I'm one of the, mayo's one of those things that people, it seems to
I'll
be
put butter
either,
in my coffee sometimes.
do you really?
If I'm out of creamer, I'll put butter in my coffee.
I don't drink coffee, so I don't know. To me, that sounds disgusting. Both of those things, all of it. Coffee is just vile. All of it. Doesn't matter how much sugar or mocha or caramel or pumpkin. Coffee is disgusting. Definitely with mayo or butter. No, thank you. But no, I haven't seen the commercials. But he does have a perfume, Eau de
Is that for
Mayo.
real?
Yeah, yeah. Google it. It's like it was for sale at some point during the
I don't
season.
think I'd want to smell like mayonnaise. I like putting it
No,
on sandwiches. I like dipping
yeah.
French fries in it. You ever do that?
Yeah. Like it has to be like an aioli though, not just straight up mayo. Like it
All
has to
right.
have a
Well,
flavor.
I'll take
You know
either one.
what I mean? It has to have something in it that makes it not white, I guess, that I'm okay with dipping. All right. Anyway, we've digressed just a smidge.
Just a little bit.
Um,
Look, we answered all the questions.
we
I think
sure
we
did, and
rolled
we
right
can.
along. We might
Yeah,
as
and
well
I'm
end it on
sorry to all.
mayonnaise.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to all of you that did put starts in there. I feel guilty, but at the same time, it's like we just and I say it's Tuesday morning. Like I can't. We can't
Come
really
back
do.
Friday. Come back
Yeah,
Friday at the same time, and that's
yeah.
all that John and Matt do. They only
Yeah,
do start sits.
John Paulson and Matakata have a start sit show, same time as this on Fridays. They will gladly answer all of your
Same
questions.
channel.
You can also hit Jess and I up on socials. We'll
Yeah.
answer if we can. Thank you all once again for joining us. We know it is week 15. It is the playoffs, and I can see by that little number in the left hand corner, there's a lot of you
Yeah. Thanks
watching
for
us right
sticking with
now.
us,
So
guys. How cool.
thanks for hanging out. Even those of you that are not in the playoffs, but I don't know if you're here, if you're not, but if you are, that's great. We love all of you. We will see you next week, week 16. Hopefully, you are all still alive. Same time, same channel. Let me see if I can end this properly and do that. I'm going to play a video. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.